Not all motorcycle riders are created equal. Some live for the adrenaline, some live for the chrome, and some live to dominate every conversation at every meetup with stories nobody asked for. We've got sport bike fanatics, cruiser legends, adventure seekers, track day warriors, cafe racer purists, and everything in between. Every single group swears they're the real riders, the authentic ones, the ones who truly understand what motorcycling is all about. So today, we're settling this once and for all. We're ranking every major motorcycle subculture from absolute worst to undisputed best, based on riding culture, community vibe, skill level, and, let's be honest, how much the rest of us secretly love or hate seeing them pull up to a gas station. This isn't going to be fair, it's definitely not going to be politically correct, but it's going to be brutally honest. Number 11. The cafe racer crowd look. We get it. Vintage is cool. Leather jackets are cool. Minimalism is definitely cool. But if you've ever been to a bike meet and watched someone kickstart a stripped-down vintage bike for the 20th time while explaining that the constant mechanical issues are all part of the authentic experience, you've met the cafe racer crowd. These are the riders who will spend $8,000 on a 40-year-old motorcycle and then spend another $4,000 systematically removing everything that made it functional. Fenders, gone. They ruin the lines. Mirrors, tiny little circles the size of quarters. Turn signals? Who needs visibility when you've got aesthetic purity? The cafe racer subculture looks absolutely incredible on social media. These bikes are pure art when they're parked outside a trendy coffee shop with perfect lighting. But when it comes time to actually ride these machines for more than 15 minutes, things get complicated fast. That slammed seat might create the perfect silhouette for photos, but try riding it for more than an hour and you'll understand why modern motorcycles have actual ergonomics. Those clip-on handlebars look aggressive and sporty until your wrists start screaming for mercy. And if it starts raining, forget about it. No fenders, no windscreen, no storage, and probably no idea how to diagnose the electrical gremlins in that vintage wiring harness you modified at 3 in the morning. But here's the thing that saves them from being dead last. They actually care. These riders genuinely love their machines. They obsess over every detail. They know the history of every component, and they've got impeccable taste, even if they sacrifice practicality to achieve it. Cafe racers aren't the worst riders out there, but they're definitely more focused on style than substance. They're beautiful to look at and fascinating to talk to, but they're also incredibly high maintenance and not always the most practical riding companions. Number 10. The Chrome Cult. These are the classic cruiser riders who have never met a surface. They didn't want to polish until it could blind a pilot. Everything on their bike is chrome. Chrome handlebars, chrome exhaust pipes, chrome foot pegs, chrome skull valve caps, chrome everything. Their motorcycles weigh 800 pounds, and half of that weight is pure reflection. The Chrome Cult doesn't ride fast. They ride proud. They pull up to every destination at exactly the speed limit, park diagonally across 2 spaces, shut off the engine with theatrical flair, and then just stand there next to their bike, waiting for someone to ask about all the modifications they've done. It's all about projecting the authentic biker image. The leather vest with patches, the chain wallet, the permanent scowl, the slow, deliberate walk. Even if the motorcycle only sees 1,000 miles per year, and most of those are to weekend bike shows and back. Let's give credit where it's due, though. These riders genuinely love their machines. They clean them like they're maintaining religious shrines. They've named their bikes. They don't care about lap times or lean angles or any of that performance nonsense. They care about the vibe, the presence, the statement their motorcycle makes about who they are. In a world full of faceless commuters driving identical SUVs, that kind of individual expression and mechanical pride is worth something. The problem is that some of them, not all but enough to notice, treat anyone who doesn't ride a V-twin like they're not a real rider. If it's not American-made, loud enough to wake the dead, and heavy enough to require a gym membership to maneuver. In parking lots, it doesn't count as a real motorcycle in their eyes. That gatekeeping mentality is exhausting and outdated. You can ride chrome, just don't act like it automatically makes you more authentic than everyone else on two wheels. Number 9. The content creators, the influencers, the vloggers, the helmet camera heroes. These are the riders who spend more time editing footage than actually riding. And when they do hit the road, it's usually in search of the perfect camera angle rather than the perfect corner. They've got gear. Oh boy, do they have gear. Perfectly. Coordinated riding jackets, reflective visors, custom graphics, multiple camera mounts, and motorcycles that have been built more for thumbnail appeal than actual performance. If you see someone doing circles around a gas station at golden hour trying to get the perfect shot, this is your crew. To be completely fair, some content creators are genuinely skilled riders who bring new people into the sport, educate beginners about safety and technique, and capture the magic of motorcycling in ways that inspire others to start riding. That contribution to the community is valuable and shouldn't be dismissed. But too many of them are chasing views instead of miles. They'll take 50 selfies for every actual curve they ride, and their idea of an epic adventure is a 20-minute loop between scenic overlooks that photograph. Well, the worst ones pretend to be experts when they barely understand the basics themselves. It's all performance, no substance. Their bikes look amazing in videos, but half the time they're completely stock with a sticker kit and a fabricated backstory about epic rides that never actually happened. The content creator crowd isn't evil. They're just caught between riding for themselves and performing for an audience. If they ever stop chasing algorithm optimization long enough to actually focus on riding, they might climb much higher on this list. Number 8. The Adventure Riders. Adventure riders are the ultimate Boy Scouts of motorcycling. Always prepared, always equipped, and always 3 gear purchases away from being ready for a full expedition across multiple continents. They've got crash bars, panniers, auxiliary lighting systems, tank bags, dry bags, backup batteries, tire repair kits, and survival gear they've never used, but definitely might need someday. They roll up to coffee shops looking like they just finished crossing the Sahara Desert, even if they only rode in from the suburbs. Their bikes are covered in what looks like authentic trail dust, but it's usually strategically applied dirt from last weekend's 2-hour gravel road adventure. They'll enthusiastically tell you their bike can go anywhere in the world. And honestly, it probably could. But 90% of the time it goes to work, to the grocery store, and back to the garage where it gets lovingly maintained and upgraded with even more expedition-grade accessories. Still, you can't hate these folks. They're genuinely passionate about the journey, not just the destination. They geek out over maps, routes, and gear like kids in the world's most expensive candy store. When they do actually hit serious trails, they absolutely know their stuff. Some of the most skilled technical riders you'll ever meet belong to this category. They land in the middle of this ranking for one simple reason. Sometimes the gear obsession overshadows the actual riding. When your setup costs more than most, people's cars, and you need a smartphone app to start your camping stove, maybe it's time to step back and remember that motorcycles were designed to be simple. That said, adventure riders are usually friendly, knowledgeable, and genuinely welcoming to newcomers. They're out there exploring the world, and they want you to come along for the ride. Just be prepared to discuss tire pressure specifications for 45 minutes before you actually start riding. Number 7. The touring legends, long-haul riders, the interstate heroes, the folks who don't just ride motorcycles, they live on them. If it doesn't have cruise control, heated grips, and a backrest large enough to double as a park bench, it's not worth their time. Their bikes are massive, their seats are thrones, and their storage compartments have more space than most people's bedroom closets. Touring riders don't mess around with short weekend rides. They've seen more of the country than most people will in their entire lifetime. They've got 100,000 miles on their odometers and zero interest in shaving tenths of seconds off lap times. They'll ride 500 miles in a single day and still wave at every rider they pass. These are the most zen riders in the entire motorcycle community. And there's a simple reason why. They've already survived the reckless youth phase. They've done the fast bikes, the stupid decisions, the social media years. Now they're in it for the pure experience. The ride, the scenery, the roadside diners, the small-town hotels with dedicated motorcycle parking. They also tend to be incredibly consistent and experienced. While other riders are talking about epic adventures they plan to take someday, touring riders are actually out there racking up serious miles and collecting stories. From the road. They rank in the middle for one reason. They don't always connect with younger riders. Some are set in their ways, some dismiss anything that doesn't have a full fairing and a premium sound system, and a few still believe motorcycles peaked sometime in the 1980s, when everything was carbureted and simple. Still, touring riders command respect. They're the proof that motorcycling isn't just about looking cool or going fast. It's about covering distance, seeing the world, and understanding that sometimes the journey really is more important than the destination. Number 6. The real stunters. Let's be crystal clear from the start. We're not talking about the idiots doing wheelies through red lights or filming near misses in traffic for social media likes. That's not stunting. That's just being criminally reckless. Those riders aren't part of a legitimate subculture. They're just dangerous morons who happen to own motorcycles. What we're talking about here are the legitimate stunters, the ones who practice in empty parking lots, wear proper safety gear, cage their bikes with crash protection, and treat stunting like the serious discipline it actually is. These riders have absolutely incredible machine control. They're not necessarily fast in straight lines, but they're masters of balance, throttle finesse, and body positioning. They can make a motorcycle do things that seem to defy physics, and they treat slow-speed precision like a legitimate art form. Their bikes are purpose-built, tools, not showpieces. You'll see dented tanks, extensive crash protection, and chopped bodywork, but every modification serves a specific function. These riders crash frequently, but they crash smart. They practice relentlessly, they study technique, and they get genuinely skilled at something most riders can't even comprehend. They rank in the middle because the legitimate stunting community is small and often overshadowed by the social media idiots who give the entire scene a bad reputation. The real stunters are technical masters who deserve respect for their skill and dedication. The problem is that for every legitimate stunter practicing safely in a controlled environment, there are 10 wannabes terrorizing traffic and making everyone look bad. Don't blame the real ones for the chaos caused by the pretenders. Number 5. The laid-back cruiser riders. These are the riders who genuinely don't care what you ride, how fast you go, or how technically perfect your cornering technique is. They're not here for bragging rights or social media content. They're here for the pure experience of riding and the peaceful moments between destinations. They roll on V-twins, sometimes American, sometimes metric, Sometimes just whatever budget cruiser still runs reliably after years of faithful service. But unlike the Chrome cult, they're not trying to prove anything to anyone. Their bikes might be loud, but they're not revving at stoplights for attention. They've got some modifications, but it's not a showcase of every expensive accessory in the catalog. These folks are incredibly easy to be around. They'll talk motorcycles with anyone, wave at every rider regardless of what they're riding, and happily pull over for snacks, scenic views, or just to chat. No ego, no lectures, no competition. Just relaxed energy and a throttle hand that knows exactly what pace feels good. Some of them prefer traditional gear, loud pipes, and riding without windshields, but they also respect the road, respect other riders, and never feel the need to prove their authenticity to anyone. That attitude puts them well above half the riders on this list. If your riding group includes one of these folks, keep them around. They're probably carrying tools, snacks, and stories that will make every rest stop more interesting than you expected. Number 4. The Track Day Warriors. These are the riders who live for lean angles and lap times. If they're not discussing apex, speeds, tire compounds, or suspension settings, they're probably reviewing helmet camera footage from last weekend's track session or planning their next trip to the circuit. They don't just ride, they analyze everything. Their bikes are clean, but appropriately worn in all the right places. Scratched fairings represent character and experience. Safety wire on critical bolts shows they understand the importance of proper preparation. They know their suspension. Sag settings better than most people know their own phone numbers. But here's the important part. They're legitimately skilled. Really, genuinely skilled. These riders put in serious work. They study, they practice, they crash, they rebuild, and they come back smoother, faster, and more focused every single time. They're also some of the safest street riders you'll encounter. Because when you've spent hours perfecting your braking zones at triple-digit speeds, you develop incredibly good control at normal road speeds. They understand limits, both their own and their motorcycles, and they know how to operate within those boundaries. So why aren't they ranked higher? Because some of them are absolutely exhausting to be around. They'll critique your body position while you're standing in line for coffee. They'll interrogate you about tire pressures during casual conversations. If you mention that you don't do track days, they'll look at you like you just admitted to using dish soap as chain lubricant. Still, they deserve respect, because while most riders are playing amateur hour, these folks are out there developing legitimate skills and pushing the boundaries of what's possible on two wheels. Number 3. The Sleeper Sport Bike Riders. These riders don't talk much, they don't post constantly on social media, and they don't show up with flashy gear or pristine race replicas. But when the road starts getting interesting, they simply disappear into the distance. No drama, no showing off, no ego. Just impossibly smooth lines, perfect throttle control, and a skill level that makes everyone else look like they're riding. In slow motion, sleeper sport bike riders usually show up on well-used motorcycles, beat-up super sports, bone-stock older bikes, faded fairings, zero aftermarket graphics. You look at them and think they probably don't ride very aggressively. Then you watch them lean so far into corners they could sign autographs on the asphalt. These riders aren't trying to impress anyone. They're just focused on riding extremely well. They're the ones who can drag knee while wearing jeans, pass you mid-corner with room to spare, and still have enough attention left over to wave at oncoming traffic. They know their machines completely. They have genuinely worn-down knee sliders, not fresh ones they bought to look experienced. Their tires are always at the edge of the usable tread. Their braking is surgical, and they never feel the need to discuss any of it. If they have a weakness, it's that they make high performance. riding look deceptively easy. Other riders try to match their pace and end up in over their heads, which is when accidents happen. But that's not their fault. They didn't invite anyone to chase them. They just ride hard, ride quietly, and leave behind a trail of humbled egos. Number 2. The small bike squad. If pure joy could be bottled and sold, it would probably come with 12-inch wheels and a 125cc engine. The small bike squad represents everything that's right about motorcycle culture. They're riding tiny bikes with massive personalities, and they're having more fun than riders on machines worth 10 times as much. These riders aren't trying to win races or set speed records. They're here to ride like absolute maniacs at 38 miles per hour. They lane split like caffeinated squirrels, rip through parking lots like they're evading security, and turn every gas station stop into a full-blown social event. What makes them incredible is their complete lack of concern for anyone else's opinions. While other riders are obsessing over power figures and suspension specifications, these folks are wheeling past them wearing flip-flops with Bluetooth speakers playing 80s music. They're also remarkably welcoming. Show up on any bike and they'll wave you into their group. Ride a superbike, they'll still invite you to join their donut run through the city. The small bike community doesn't gatekeep, they just ride, smile, and post absolutely ridiculous group photos. Are their bikes fast? Absolutely not. Are they practical? Sometimes. Are they more entertaining than most of the serious motorcycles on the road? Without question. The only reason they're not number one is that their chaotic energy isn't for everyone. But honestly, even if you ride something much larger and more powerful, you probably secretly want to join their party. Number 1. The Universal Riders. You've encountered them at gas stations, bike meets, and random road stops. Sometimes they're on vintage classics, sometimes modern adventure bikes, sometimes cruisers, naked bikes, or something completely unusual like a dual sport with saddlebags held on with zip ties and determination. The bike doesn't matter, because these riders will ride anything, and they absolutely refuse to judge anyone based on what they're riding. These are the most mature, level-headed, down-to-earth people in the entire motorcycle community. They've completed cross-country trips, dropped bikes in remote locations, fixed them with improvised tools, and probably owned motorcycles from every major manufacturer at some point. Now, they just ride with zero ego and maximum appreciation for the experience. They'll genuinely compliment your small bike, enthusiastically discuss your super sport, help you adjust your chain, or share oil at a gas station without being asked. They might not post frequently on social media, but they've probably accumulated more real-world riding experience than everyone in your group chat combined. You know why they're the absolute best? Because they're the glue that holds the motorcycle community together. They welcome everyone, they understand that every bike serves a purpose, they know that every rider has their own journey, and they believe that every group ride should end with laughter rather than arguments about who's fastest. This is the top tier of motorcycle culture. No noise, no drama, no gatekeeping. Just motorcycles, mutual respect, and the open road. Where do you fit on this list? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's discuss where each subculture really belongs. Just remember, we're all here because we love motorcycles, so let's keep it respectful and remember what really matters: the ride itself.